People always say marriage ends with a bang. Screaming fights, broken plates, cheating scandals, lawyers on speed dial. Mine didn't. Mine started to end with Thai food and Netflix. That's the funny thing about marriage. You don't expect your wife to casually assassinate your heart between bites of pad thai. You expect arguments about bills, laundry, or who keeps leaving the toothpaste cap off, but not this. It was a normal Sunday night. I was on the couch in sweatpants, Eva was scrolling on her phone, and I was half watching Netflix previews like a man with commitment issues. We'd ordered takeout because cooking on Sundays requires energy and optimism. Two things I did not have. The smell of noodles filled the apartment. I was just about to make a dumb joke about chopsticks being tiny food crutches when Eva muted the TV. She turned to me, her face serious, like she was about to confess she'd joined a cult or crashed my car. "Daniel," she said slowly. "Yeah," I replied, still chewing. "I don't love you anymore." I froze mid-bite. My brain did that Windows error sound. Not in love? With me? The guy who just bought you extra spring rolls? I swallowed. Badly. Nearly aspirated a piece of chicken sauté. "Sorry, what? Did you just say that as casually as people order dessert?" Her eyes didn't flinch. "I'm trying to be honest." I blinked at her, then at the table, then at my beer. "Okay, well, honesty is great. I support it. 5 stars on Yelp. But you could have started smaller, like, 'I hate your haircut,' or 'Please stop singing in the shower.' Not just boom, marriage-ending headline." She sighed, already annoyed that I wasn't collapsing dramatically. "I knew you'd joke." "Of course I'm joking," I said. "You just announced my expiration date as a husband. What do you want me to do? Faint into the curry? Write you a sonnet? 'Oh, dearest wife, my love hath departed. Please return thine affections post-haste.'" "Daniel, please," she said, pinching her nose. "I need you to take this seriously." I leaned back, raised my hands. "Fine. Seriously then, you're saying you don't love me anymore, correct?" "Yes." "And you chose to tell me while I'm holding chopsticks?" "Great timing. At least you didn't wait until I had a knife in my hand." Her expression hardened. "I care about you. You're my best friend. I respect you. But the love part, it's gone." I felt I had to be honest. I nodded slowly, the way a man nods when a doctor says, "You'll live, but you can't eat cheese anymore." "Okay, thanks for the honesty," I said. Her jaw dropped. "That's it? What else do you want?" I asked. "Should I cry into the fried rice? Should I beg? Do you want me to get down on one knee like we're running a sequel to our wedding vows? I thought you'd at least fight for us." "Eva," I said carefully, "you just told me I'm unloved in my own apartment. Fighting for us now would look like me rolling around in the ashes shouting, 'Everything's fine.'" Her arms crossed. "So you're just okay with this?" "I'm not okay with it," I said. "But if my wife doesn't love me, then I'll stop acting like a husband. I'll treat you like a very nice roommate, the kind who pays rent on time and sometimes eats my leftovers." Her eyes went wide. "That's not what I meant." "Hey, I'm just matching energy," I said, lifting my beer like a toast. "Cheers to honesty." We finished dinner in silence, stabbing noodles like they personally offended us. Later we sat on the couch. Normally she'd curl against me. I'd play with her hair, and we'd argue about what show to watch before settling on something we didn't really like. Tonight she scrolled Instagram on her phone while I pretended to care about Netflix trailers. Eventually she put the phone down. "So what now?" she asked. "Now?" I shrugged. "We finish this season of whatever we're pretending to enjoy? And tomorrow, I guess, we adjust. That's it?" "Yep, that's it." Bedtime came. She slid under the blanket and scooted closer, expecting me to wrap an arm around her, whisper something cheesy, maybe kiss her shoulder. Instead, I lay flat, hands behind my head, staring at the ceiling like it had answers. "Good night, Eva," I said, flat as an answering machine. She hesitated. "Good night, Daniel." And that was how it started. No yelling, no slammed doors. Just a quiet little sentence dropped into takeout night that turned my marriage from a romantic comedy into a very awkward roommate sitcom. The next morning, I woke up early like usual. Normally, I'd brew coffee, kiss Eva's forehead, whisper some cliché like, "You look cute when you sleep," and then leave a little heart doodle on a sticky note by her mug. This time, nope. I brewed the coffee, poured 2 mugs, wrote a sticky note that simply said, "Went to work. Have a good day. Daniel." No heart, no smiley face, just raw, sterile office memo energy. By lunch, I was on the phone with the florist. "Bloom & Petal, how can I help?" "Hi, this is Daniel. I need to cancel my weekly delivery." The florist gasped. "Oh no. Your wife always seems so happy with those bouquets." "Yeah, about that, she's not really my wife. More like a roommate with shared Wi-Fi. Flowers don't really fit the vibe." A pause. "I'm so sorry to hear that." "Don't be," I said. "I just realized I was spending $1,000 a year on weekly flowers for someone who fell out of love with me. That's not romance, that's charity." I hung up feeling strangely liberated, like I'd just canceled a gym membership I never used. At work, I almost grabbed my phone to send Eva one of those stupid memes I always spammed her with. This one was a cat in a suit sitting at a laptop with the caption, "I have no idea what I'm doing, but I look professional." Normally, I'd add a little "thinking of you." But then I remembered, she said she doesn't love me. So I locked my phone and tossed it back on the desk. No cat CEO today. If she wanted friendship, she was getting the colleague version of Daniel, not the husband deluxe package. When I got home that night, Eva had made pasta, my favorite. She'd even opened a bottle of wine we were saving. "Hey," she said brightly, leaning in for a kiss. I dodged smoothly and gave her a side hug. "Smells great in here." She blinked, thrown off. "I thought I'd make something special since we talked yesterday." "Cool," I said, sitting at the counter. "Thanks." She poured wine and slid me a glass. "So, how was your day?" "Good. Emails, meetings. Same old. Usually I'd ramble about my boss's weird obsession with staplers or the guy in IT who breathes like Darth Vader. But not today. 1-sentence report, done." Her eyes lingered on me, waiting for more. When nothing came, she launched into her own day. I nodded politely, the way you nod when a coworker explains printer settings. Dinner finished. We moved to the living room. Normally this was cuddle hour. She'd curl up against me, I'd rub her feet. We'd argue if pineapple belongs on pizza. Instead, I sat in the armchair across from her. She patted the couch. "Why are you sitting over there?" "Change of scenery," I said, flipping through channels. Confusion flickered on her face, but she didn't push it. Around 10, she yawned. "Bed?" "Yeah, I'll stay up a bit." She went to bed alone. I followed an hour later, slipped in without a kiss, and faced the ceiling like it owed me rent money. The next morning, she came into the kitchen in one of my t-shirts, the kind of move that usually short-circuited my brain. She leaned on the counter, expecting me to pull her close. Instead, I slid a mug across. "Black, no sugar, right?" She frowned. "Thanks." I grabbed my bag and headed for the door. "That's it?" she asked. I turned. "What do you mean?" "You're just leaving?" "Yep, same as always. Work starts at 9. She gestured vaguely at herself. "But you didn't..." "Didn't what?" I asked, genuinely curious. Her cheeks flushed. "Never mind. Have a good day." "See you tonight," I said, and left. That afternoon, I decided to clean out the closet. Over the past year, I'd been hiding little gifts for Eva, stuff I'd planned to surprise her with. A vintage band t-shirt, a leather journal she once admired, even a signed book from her favorite author that wasn't supposed to be released until December. I piled them into a box. Gifts for a wife who loved me. But she didn't anymore, so what was the point? Eva found me mid-clean. "What's that?" "Stuff I bought for you." Or, "Stuff I thought I bought for my wife." Feels weird to give them to my roommate. Her eyes landed on the book. Oh my God, you got the new Sarah Chin novel? That doesn't come out until December. Yep, pulled some strings. You bought that for me? I did, I said evenly. For my wife. But since my wife doesn't love me, I don't think roommate gifts are a thing. Her face went through about 6 emotions in 3 seconds. Shock, guilt, anger, regret, all mashed into one expression. Daniel, that's not what I meant when I said I don't love you. I tilted my head. Pretty sure it is exactly what you meant. I wanted honesty, not this. And this is honesty, I said, closing the box. Romantic gestures are for romantic relationships. You said we don't have one, so I'm adjusting accordingly. She looked at me like I'd just pulled the rug out from under her, maybe because I had. Wednesday rolled around, which in our house had always meant date night. It was Ava's turn to pick, and she had reserved a cozy Italian place we both liked, the kind of restaurant where the waiter calls everyone my friend, and somehow makes you believe it. I, however, had a different plan. On my lunch break, I texted our friends Tom and Lisa, "You guys want pasta tonight? Marcella's at 7. Ava and I will be there." They responded with about 6 thumbs-up emojis and a, "See you then." Perfect. When I got home, Eva was already in the bedroom, standing in front of the mirror in a black dress I'd once told her was my favorite. She was wearing the perfume I bought her last birthday. She looked great, but all I thought was, the performance begins. She smiled nervously. "Ready for dinner?" "Yeah," I said, grabbing my keys. "Tom and Lisa will meet us there." Her face froze. "Tom and Lisa? Why?" "Because dinner is fun with friends," I said. "The more the merrier, right?" Her smile twitched. "But it's date night." I tilted my head. "Is it though? I mean, you said you don't love me, so technically it's just 2 roommates getting dinner, and roommates often invite other friends." She stared at me like I had just declared pineapple a vegetable. "Daniel, we've been doing date nights for years." "Right. When we were dating. Now we're friends. And friends go out in groups." She clenched her jaw but didn't argue. "Fine. Whatever. Let's go." At the restaurant, Tom and Lisa were already seated. They were one of those couples that still laughs at each other's dumbest jokes. And honestly, I liked having them around. It kept the night light. We ordered pasta, wine, shared breadsticks. Ava tried to lean toward me a few times like she wanted to play cute married couple. I leaned back in my chair and told Tom a story about work. Halfway through dinner, Lisa asked, "So how's married life treating you two?" Eva opened her mouth, but I jumped in first. "We're in a transitional phase," I said, twirling spaghetti. Lisa laughed awkwardly. "Oh, like what?" Eva shot me a warning glare. I smiled at my plate. "Let's just say it's less romantic drama and more roommate sitcom these days." Tom nearly choked on his ravioli. "Wow, that's honest?" I shrugged. Big fan of honesty. When the check came, I handed the waiter my card and said, "Split it 4 ways." Eva's eyes widened. "Excuse me? Since when do we split date night checks?" "Since tonight isn't a date night," I said. "It's a group dinner." Friends split group dinners. Tom and Lisa exchanged glances like they'd accidentally wandered into a soap opera. To their credit, they didn't comment, just slid their cards into the pile. On the drive home, Eva sat in the passenger seat staring out the window. Silence hung between us until I finally asked, "Everything okay?" "This whole thing feels weird," she muttered. "What thing?" U.S. You're treating me like..." She trailed off. "Like what?" "Like a stranger." "Not a stranger," I corrected. "Like a friend." "Which is exactly what you said you wanted, right? You said you don't love me anymore. That's not a wife. That's a friend. I'm just following your lead." She didn't answer. She just stared out the window, her reflection looking angrier with every passing streetlight. When we got home, She went straight to the bedroom without saying goodnight. I poured myself a glass of water, sat on the couch, and turned on the TV. For the first time in years, I actually enjoyed watching alone. Thursday night, Eva came home looking like someone had shoved her through a paper shredder and then glued her back together wrong. She dropped her purse with a loud thud that said, "Please ask me what's wrong." I looked up from the couch, where I was halfway through a book. "Rough day?" Her laugh was sharp, almost a bark. "Oh, you have no idea. My boss completely trashed the presentation I've been working on for 3 weeks, in front of everyone. Then the client called me unprepared, like I'm some clueless intern. And to top it off, the car is making noises like it's possessed by a dying cow." Normally, this was my cue. Supportive husband Daniel would have leapt up, wrapped her in a hug, kissed her forehead, murmured, "It's okay, baby, you're amazing, they don't see your worth." Then I'd have run a bubble bath, ordered her favorite greasy food, and basically played the emotional punching bag until she calmed down. That was the old me. The one she didn't love anymore. The new me? He didn't move from the couch. He marked his page with his finger, looked up and said, "Wow. That sounds really frustrating." Her eyes narrowed. "That's it?" "What else should I say?" I asked calmly. "You could, I don't know. Ask me more? Offer to help? Show a little sympathy?" I closed the book fully, gave her my best customer service smile. "Okay, option A, talk to HR about the boss if he keeps treating you like that. Option B, Jim's Automotive on 5th Street. Tom swears by them. That should fix the cow problem." There, solutions delivered. I reopened the book. She just stared at me like I just handed her a Walmart gift card for Christmas. "That's all you've got?" "Well," I said, glancing over the top of my book, "remember that part where you said you don't love me anymore? Emotional support hotline, hugs, and pep talks. Those are premium husband features. You downgraded me to the roommate plan. Sorry, no extras included." Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. "Daniel? What? You're being cold." "I'm being consistent," I corrected. She let out a sharp exhale, stormed off to the bathroom, and slammed the door. A minute later, the shower turned on. At first, just water. Then the sound I knew too well, muffled crying. Old Daniel would have dropped everything, gone in, pulled the curtain aside, hugged her until she melted into my chest. He would have said all the right things, even if he had to make them up. New Daniel flipped another page. The way I saw it, if she wanted husband-level comfort, she should have kept the husband in the loved category. When she came out of the bathroom, eyes red, hair damp, she avoided me completely. She went straight to bed without a word. The next morning, she was stomping around the kitchen like she was auditioning for a marching band. Bang, mugs, clang, spoons, slam, fridge door. She was basically playing percussion with household appliances. I sipped my coffee slowly, waiting for the performance to end. Finally, she snapped, "So no flowers today?" "Oh," I said casually, stirring my cup. "Yeah, about that." I canceled the order, her head whipped around so fast I thought she'd need a chiropractor. "What? You canceled the flowers? Why?" "Because flowers are what a husband sends to his wife. And last I checked, I don't have one of those anymore. Don't want to mislead your coworkers." Her face flushed. "Daniel! I've been getting those flowers every Friday for 2 years. Everyone at work expects them." "Cool," I said, picking up my bag. "Then I guess they'll expect you to still be loved by your husband. Which, according to your own words, isn't true anymore. So really, I'm just aligning reality with perception." She slammed a spoon so hard into the counter I thought it would bend. "We've been together for years, Daniel. We are still together." "Correction," I said, calmly slinging my bag over my shoulder. "We were together." Past tense. Now, we're roommates, friends if you want to be generous. And friends don't send each other weekly flower deliveries. Her jaw worked like she wanted to scream, but no words came out. I opened the door, gave her a polite little wave. "Have a good day, Ava," and I walked out, leaving her standing in the kitchen, spoon in hand, looking like someone who just realized the rules of the game had changed, and she wasn't winning anymore. Saturday morning smelled like a bribe. Eva never makes pancakes unless she wants something. But there they were, perfect golden circles stacked like a PR campaign, blueberries scattered on top like confetti. I walked into the kitchen in sweats and stopped dead. Her sister Sophie sat at the counter with a mug. On the other side, my mom and dad. Everyone looked very casual in the way people look when they've rehearsed their concerned faces in the car. "Morning," I said. "Wow. Either I died or somebody called a family meeting." Ava flashed a politician's smile. "I thought we could all have breakfast together." As a family translation, welcome to my panel discussion on why Daniel is the problem. I poured coffee and took the last empty stool. Great. Is there an agenda, or are we freestyling concerns? My mom cleared her throat. "Honey, Eva said you've been distant." "Distant," I repeated, nodding like a judge reading charges. "Got it. Did she give you the prequel or just the sequel?" My dad frowned. "Prequel?" I set my mug down. The part where my wife looked me in the eye over pad thai and said, quote, "I don't love you anymore," because that line tends to affect the sequel. Sophie choked on her coffee. "I'm sorry, she said what?" Eva shot daggers at me. "It wasn't like that." I pulled out my phone. "You know what? Let's not rely on my memory." I wrote it down. I opened the Notes app and read, Sunday, 8:12 p.m. Eva, I don't love you anymore. I care about you as a person, but the romantic feelings are gone. I flipped the screen around so everyone could see the exact wording and timestamp. Silence. You could hear a blueberry consider its life choices. My mom blinked fast. "Eva, is that accurate?" Eva's jaw worked. "I was trying to be honest about my feelings." Sophie swiveled to her. "That's not honesty. That's napalming the living room." My dad rubbed his forehead. "Okay. Still, marriages go through phases. Maybe she meant the spark faded. You work through it." "Dad," I said evenly, "I've been working. For 2.5 years, I was the spark department. Flowers every Friday. Date nights booked. Surprise gifts hidden in the closet for rainy days. Emotional support on demand. And then she drops a grenade called, I don't love you. The new phase is me not playing husband while I'm being cast as roommate." Ava threw up her hands. "I told you I wanted honesty between us." "And I honored that," I said. I adjusted. I stopped the flowers, split the checks, moved to the armchair, and started saying good night like a weather report. Sophie turned back to me, half amused. "You really canceled the flowers?" "Yep." I opened my banking app and slid the phone to the middle of the island. Here's the past year. I've been covering roughly 70% of shared expenses. Dinners, trips, emergencies. That's on top of 1,000 a year in flowers, plus gifts. I swiped to a little spreadsheet I'd made at 2 a.m., like a petty accountant. That's almost $11,000 annually invested in making my wife feel loved. My wife then announced she doesn't love me, so I stopped paying love taxes. Sophie let out a low whistle. "Honestly?" Fair Eva's voice cracked. "You're making me look like a beneficiary?" I offered. "Here's the difference. I'm not punishing you. I moved us to the friendship plan you requested. Friends split checks. Friends don't get weekly bouquets delivered to the office with a handwritten note that says, for the love of my life. That would be weird. HR would definitely have questions." My mom looked between us, trying to stitch two different stories together. "Ava, when you called, you said Daniel was acting strange and withdrawing from everyone. You were worried about his mental health." Sophie's head snapped back to Eva. "You told them that?" Eva flushed. "I said he's been cold. He's shutting down." I raised my hand. Counterpoint, I am calm. There's a difference. The old me would have run a bath, ordered takeout, and given a 30-minute pep talk every time you had a rough day. The new me says, that sounds frustrating, and recommends Jim's Automotive because your car mooed at you. Sophie snorted into her mug, the cow noise again. My dad, who usually reserves opinions for sports, leaned forward. Ava, you told him you don't love him. That's a serious statement. You can't expect romance after that. I wanted to see if he'd fight for us, she blurted. There it was. Sophie's eyebrows shot up. Oh, so this was a test. Eva stared at the pancakes like they might offer legal counsel. I read something online. I held up a finger. Please don't finish that sentence with 10 ways to test your husband. She closed her mouth, which told everyone exactly what the sentence was. Sophie slid the syrup toward me like she was awarding points. Yeah, no, that's manipulative. You don't test love by pretending you don't have any. Eva's eyes were bright. I panicked, okay? I was scared. Everyone around us is getting engaged again, having babies. I wanted to know if what we have is real. And the method, I said, was to tell me you didn't love me and hope I'd audition harder. Eva, that's not how love works. That's how loyalty programs work. Spend more to unlock bronze husband tier. My mom reached across and touched Eva's hand. Sweetheart, if you are confused, you say you're confused. You don't declare bankruptcy on the marriage just to see if he'll open a second bank. Eva's voice got small. I didn't think he'd actually change. I laughed once. Right. You wanted the confession without the consequences. Sophie tapped the counter. Look, I'm team marriage, but I'm also team reality. He's not being cruel. He's mirroring exactly what you said. Frankly, I'm impressed he didn't throw a chair. Thanks, I said. I considered it. But the chairs are from her Pinterest board. My dad cracked a smile he tried to hide. My mom failed to hide hers. Eva went defensive. So what, you're just done? That's it? I don't want to be done, I said, and I meant it. But I refuse to live in a house where love is a performance review I have to pass every week. If we're rebuilding, it's on honesty without games. I looked at my parents first, then at Sophie. You all can hold me to that. Sophie nodded. Copy that. My mom squeezed my shoulder. That's reasonable. Eva looked at me, then at the pancakes, then back. I could see the stubbornness flicker, then falter. I didn't realize how far you'd go. You said we're friends, I said gently. I became a good friend. She swallowed. I don't want a friend. I want my husband. Then you have to want me, I said, not the perks. The room went quiet in that heavy, important way. Somewhere in the hallway, the thermostat clicked, like the house itself was pausing to listen. Finally, my dad exhaled. Well, I can't argue with any of that? Sophie grinned. I can, but I won't. This is the first family breakfast where the math spreadsheet made me emotional. I stood, grabbed my mug. Okay, I think we've covered opening statements. I'll be in the garage if anyone needs me. Daniel, my mom called softly as I turned. We love you. I nodded. I know. Me too. As I left, I heard Sophie murmur to Eva, not unkindly, You lit the fire, sis. He just stopped standing in it. The door to the garage closed behind me with a clean little click. For the first time in a long time, I felt like an adult in my own marriage. Not a performer, not a caretaker, a husband with a spine. And the funny thing about spines is, once you remember you have one, it's hard to go back to slouching. When the door finally shut behind my parents and Sophie, the silence in the apartment was deafening. I leaned against the wall for a second, listening to the muffled sound of Sophie laughing to herself in the hallway. Probably already texting her friends. You won't believe the soap opera I just attended? Eva sat curled up on the couch, arms wrapped tight around herself, staring at the floor like it had all the answers. Her face was pale, eyes red from holding back tears. She looked smaller than usual, like all the fire and defiance had burned out the moment the reinforcements left. I walked over slowly and sat in the armchair across from her. All right, I said. No audience now. No parents, no sister, no pancakes to hide behind. Just you and me. So, talk. She swallowed hard. I messed up. That's one way to put it, I said dryly. You tried to play marriage Jenga by pulling out the love block and seeing if the tower still stands. Her lip trembled. I thought it would show me something. I thought, if you fought harder, I'd feel reassured. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. Eva, do you hear yourself? You wanted me to fight for something you announced was already gone. That's not reassurance. That's torture. She flinched. I know. I wasn't thinking, no, you were thinking, I corrected. You just weren't thinking about consequences. You wanted the drama of the words without the fallout. You wanted me to ignore what you said and keep playing husband on maximum settings. Well, surprise, I believed you. And I adjusted. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm sorry. I was scared. Everyone around us is moving forward. Houses, babies, new jobs. I thought maybe we were stuck. And I panicked, I sighed, rubbed my temples. Ava, if you're scared, you say you're scared. If you're insecure, you say you're insecure. You don't drop, I don't love you anymore, like a grenade, and then wait to see if I dive on it. She nodded frantically. I get it. I swear, I get it now. No more games, no more tests. I want you back. I tilted my head. You want me back? You never lost me. You almost threw me away, but I was still here. I just stopped giving you the perks without the commitment. She bit her lip. I don't want a roommate. I want my husband finally. I let myself smirk. Then act like a wife. Because here's the deal, Eva. I forgive you, but I don't forget. One more stunt like this, and I won't stick around to give lectures. I'll just be gone. Her breath caught. I understand. I won't do it again. Ever good, I said. Because next time there won't be a warning. Words matter. You don't say, I don't love you, unless you mean it. And if you say it again, I'll believe you. For real. She wiped her cheeks with her sleeve, nodding like a kid being scolded. I promise, no more experiments. I stood, walked over, and held out my hand. She hesitated, then took it. I pulled her up and into a hug. For the first time all week, I felt her hold on like she was afraid to let go. All right, I said quietly into her hair. No more science projects. Deal? Deal, she whispered, voice shaking. We stayed like that for a long moment, just breathing. No jokes, no fights, no tests. For once, it was simple. Finally, I pulled back just enough to look at her. And Ava? Yeah? I gave her a crooked grin. Next time you feel like testing me, maybe just bake pancakes again. Less destructive through her tears, she laughed. It wasn't much, but it was real. And just like that, our marriage wasn't perfect, but it was honest again. In the weeks that followed, things slowly settled back into place. Ava stopped slamming drawers for attention and started actually talking to me. She cooked more often, not as bribes, but just because she wanted to. I caught her slipping little notes into my lunch bag, something I used to do for her. And me? I wasn't rushing back into flowers every Friday mode. I took it slow. I wanted her to feel the difference between husbandly love and roommate courtesy. She noticed. She worked for it. And for once, she wasn't testing me. She was choosing me. One evening, as we were cleaning up after dinner, she touched my arm and said softly, "Thank you for not giving up on me when I was being stupid." I smiled. "Thank you for not making me prove my love with a subscription plan." She laughed, genuine this time, and for the first time in weeks, the apartment didn't feel heavy. It felt like home again. No experiments, no tests. Just us. If you felt this story hit hard, drop a like, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps Steelheart beating.